we're here. Let me see if I clean my screen. I feel like I cleaned it. What's up, y'all? How's everybody? I hope we're about to get this live started. Let me go ahead and put this link out. Share. What up? Okay. So, what's up, Leo Rising? How you doing? I hope you guys are doing well. We're going to talk about Saturn in Pisces. This transit is coming up. This is tropical astrology. Okay. I do a mixture of both astrologies for my readings. I think it suits just fine. Life is a blend of everything. Thank you guys for popping up. We're gonna have more people come in. I know it's been too long. I know. Hi Ram, how you doing? I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you're doing well. You're healthy. You're wealthy. You're safe. I hope that you are in a warm place. With the, everything with the weather that's been going on. So we're gonna talk about Saturn in Pisces. Thank you so much for watching First Noel. I appreciate that. I've been good. Thank you for asking. I've been doing really good. Busy. Doing a little bit of everything. This is my little watermelon green juice. I was like, oh, let me have something to drink this time, because I usually just go in and I don't have anything to actually drink. Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for being here. Merry holidays. Happy early New Year. Do you read based on your progress or natal or both? Definitely the natal primarily, if that's what people, it's really what the customer wants, right? Like what the client needs. It's whatever you want, because a chart is a chart is a chart. It just depends on what you're looking for. So yeah, I can do whatever you guys want me to do, like most likely. I enjoy synastry readings, which synastry is how two energies come together. How two energies work together. Like you and your best friend, you and your mom, you and your partner. Then the composite chart tells you the actual journey of the relationship, like the point of the relationship, why you're in it, why you're there for each other in the relationship, things of that nature. So, yeah, that's what I really like. That's Open Astrology School. Yeah, y'all can like the video. Thank you. Welcome. Let me see. Let me just make sure I have everything set so I'm good to go. So, Saturn. Listen, okay, I'll say this. You have a natal chart, which is a birth chart, right? And think of it as the universe, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, whatever you identify with, if you identify with anything or whatever you believe, dropping you in at a certain time, okay? God is just like, plop, boom, now you are, here you go, let's go. And you have a natal chart, meaning that at that day and that time, that specific location, you were put in, okay? You hear what I'm saying? Because everyone has a purpose. Everyone that is alive has a purpose. That's the point of living. You being alive is already a thing. It's already an amazing thing. So, boom, you have the natal chart, meaning that at that time, at that place, that's the energy that you're embodying, okay? Those are the gifts, talents, skills. Those are your natal promises. Those are your pitfalls. Those are your challenges, your obstacles. Those are things that you're going to learn life from, your life lessons. That's what your natal chart shows you. It's basically, if I looked at your natal chart, I can basically have a trailer of your life. Okay, that's what it is, essentially. It's a trailer of your life. So that's why I can tell when I look at certain things what you could be spending your money on, what your home might look like, or you know, the type of people and environments that you like to hang out in, because your energy is drawn to those people, places, and things. Okay? And because of that, there's going to be certain things that you're drawn towards and that you want to do in your life. That's why we all have different interests. We're interested in loving people differently. We're interested in dressing differently. We're interested in expressing ourselves differently. We're interested in having sex differently. There's different ways of being alive. We're even interested in different foods. We're interested in different places to live. And it makes this beautiful thing called the human experience, okay? I mean, your dog even has a natal chart, though. I can't take that away. Your dog also has a natal chart, but, and, you know, countries and cities, but I'm talking about right now to us humans. That's what I'm saying. But essentially, you know, you have this experience, and that natal chart is going to outline the things that are promised onto you in this human experience. For instance, if you have a Sagittarius sun trine Jupiter, you know, and you have Venus in the 9th house, you're going to have a love for travel, because your spirit requires you to take long and far journeys, things that will stretch you, things that will put, because when you go to a different country and you don't know the language, you are really put out of your comfort zone, right? Jupiter loves things big. It loves it on an expansive level. And so this is why you will find those types of people doing long types of journeys, wanting to get long types of education, being involved in different types of religion. Okay, so this is why you have your natal chart, and it'll show you, okay, this is what I'm interested in, or this is what I was raised with, especially when you're just starting, when you're just born, you're raised in that situation. Then your chart progresses, okay, and your progressions show what you learned, how you've evolved, how you're growing, okay, and through that, because your natal chart is one moment in time, the progressions are basically, they are grown through transits. Okay. Hi, Adisa. I hope that the reading was good. And transits are very important to know. This is why not just knowing your sign is not going to be useful to you. You're going to want to know every sign, and you're going to want to know every planet, because you have to know how it's going to impact you. Everyone is going to have a Saturn transit, right? This is what Saturn, you know, Jupiter, the Saturn return, and when you're turning 27, 28 happens, and you're becoming an adult, right? Or your first Saturn square when you're turning 7, or your second Saturn, your first Saturn, square when you're turning 7, and your second Saturn, your second Saturn is in opposition. Then you're turning 14, right? And then the third one is a square, and then you turn 21, and then the fourth one is a Saturn return, and you're turning 28, 27, 28. And that's your Saturn return, because it's gone to each quarter of your life. It spends 2.5 years going through each sign. So it's really about knowing the energies and using them for your life. The great thing about it is, now that we have this information, we can use it to prepare ourselves. Now, things are still going to happen, baby. Life is dramatic. You still have to experience things, right? Thank you so much. But you absolutely can get prepared for it, especially mentally. A lot of times physically, you can get prepared for it, things of that nature. So we're going to talk about Saturn. Saturn is a very important planet because it has rings, right? And rings, and they come through as like limitation, restriction, boundaries. But we need boundaries because Saturn represents all the hard things in life, like bones. And we need bones if we want to have this body, right? And we have skin that literally make sure that we're not leaking all over the place, and that our guts and our like veins are not just popping out wherever they are. All right. So this is what Saturn is about. Saturn gets a bad rep because people don't like, nobody want to be stopped doing what the fuck they feel like doing, right? Me included. Nobody want to be stopped. Nobody wants to have to do this thing for everything else to work, right? But that's essentially what Saturn is. Saturn is mastery. It's going to take you a lifetime to do it, but you will get there, okay? And Saturn is about effort. It's about hard work. And with exactly consequences, Kimberly. And with limitations and restrictions, and with that, because as a human body, we can't necessarily fly, right? If you do know somebody who can fly, let me know. But right now, I'm going to say we can't fly because there's a limitation on how our body is predispositioned and what gifts we do have. So we can't necessarily go underwater anymore, even though we are born that way, which is a whole other topic I want to dive into one day. But we can't go into underwater right now and breathe, right? So there, we have to play our role, essentially. And as human beings, we have to realize that we have a part to play. And with that, we can use these transits to really help us play the part. All right. We know that Saturn is going to come up into Pisces. Saturn was in Aquarius. Saturn, as I said, is boundaries and restrictions, right? That's basically the terminology that you can use for it, but you can see why it's that way. Saturn takes place in Capricorn and it takes place in Aquarius. So there's two things. The thing about Saturn, though, it's self-imposed limitations, because there are some things that we impose on ourselves, okay? And y'all will hear what I'm saying in a moment. There are some things that we create limitations for ourselves for, okay? I can't achieve this dream. I can't have this body. I can't have this much money. I can't have this lifestyle. I can't have this peace. You know, there's this feeling of I can't with Saturn, but Saturn is the elder, okay? Because each planet represents people. So Saturn represents bosses, elders, and authority figures. A lot of times the father figure, but to me it would be the person who provided, quote unquote, a lot, because some of us don't have father figures, things of that nature. So you would have to look at Saturn. If it's aspecting your moon, it would absolutely indicate an elder woman, and older women, and successful women, or structured women, hardworking women, okay? So you would have to take the chart into full account. That's why I like to say elders, because elders is more broad. It's the people that take care of us, that teach us about consequences, all right? Saturn represents the people that tell us that we can't do certain things, that we have a curfew when we're young, all right? Or that we have to do our homework, or, you know, or we have to show up at work on time. So that's the thing with Saturn. Saturn is not fun. I'm not saying it's fun, especially if it's on a soft planet like your moon. I'm not saying it's fun if it's on a soft planet like your sun, you know, because even though the sun is strong, Saturn is stronger. I'm not saying it's not easy if it's on your Mercury. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's not difficult. What I'm explaining about Saturn is there's a cycle to it. There's a system to it. You have to have patience with this planet, okay? This planet is about knowing which season you're in. It's about putting in the hard work and mastering that place. And so if you see somebody with Saturn square Venus, they can have hard relationships. They can have difficult relationships that end in divorce, that end in separation, because that's something they've probably seen, or that's something that maybe should have been an option, but maybe wasn't an option for one of the people in the relationship at the time. So that's the thing with Saturn. Saturn makes things harder before it makes things easier, because Saturn needs you to show up on time and do the work. And when it's in Pisces, Pisces represents our imagination. It represents magic. It represents the nebulous, mystical part. It represents music, film industry, spiritual healers. It represents faraway foreign places. It represents psychedelics. It represents, you know, delusion as well. It represents acid tripping and astral traveling and all clairvoyance and, you know, clairaudience. It represents all the things that are unexplainable. All right. Dreams. It's a boundless energy. Pisces is where, this is why, because Pisces is the ocean. Okay, it represents gas, deep waters, fish. Um, it's a big energy. It's the place where the ego goes to die. Okay, because Pisces creates, like I said, it's shapeless. It's a chameleon. It's metamorphosis. This is why people with heavy Pisces placements, Neptune, Jupiter 12th house, are more on the artistic side of life. They're more on the creative side of life. Or if they haven't tapped into that, is because they haven't really allowed themselves to tap into that. You know, Pisces is isolation. It can also be enslavement. It can be imprisonment, because it can be a never-ending dream. You know what I'm saying? And so Pisces is this really big energy. It's impressionable. If you think about the water and the reflection of, right, seeing your reflection in the water, it could be a distorted reflection, because is that what you really look like? This is where that term rose-colored glasses comes from when you're talking about Pisces energy. And this is why it's recommended that Pisces use meditation. They use water to heal themselves. That they have a quiet, safe space to go to recuperate. That they have a place for introspection. That they live near water or they live near the beach. That Pisces requires times of not explaining when you're there or not. Okay? Now, Saturn is about to go into Pisces. Okay, also Pisces represents places like foreign lands. I said hospitals, ashrams, asylums as well. It's places where you're lonely, okay? Where you're by yourself, where you have to reflect a lot. Oh, all right, it can also be jail. That's why the imprisonment comes there, the slavery comes there. You know what I'm saying? It also represents. This is where the synonyms. This is why people will then associate Pisces perhaps then with victim. You know, being the victim of something, because a lot of times they are. And a lot of times there's a sense of negligence and or abandonment with Pisces energy as well. Feeling like you're left out in the water by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just floating on your own. And things such as music, sound healing, massage, acupuncture. I'm trying to think of more things. What else can I think of? The healing arts, music therapy, art therapy, Reiki, shiatsu, swimming, even fishing, to be honest. Donating time, donating, gifts, money, helping people who seem lost. There's a sense with Pisces that there's a nomadic feeling with people who have a lot of Pisces energy, or they can feel like they don't belong anywhere, but they belong everywhere. And the truth is, you guys do. Pisces is everything. And I really want the people who have Pisces placements to realize how epic it is to be able to be a chameleon, and how dope it is to be able to tap into other worlds, and that you shouldn't be ashamed of that. You shouldn't have to repress that skill. You have to think about it like Cyclops from X-Men when he was young. When he was young, he opened his eyes and the red shot everywhere, and it was just like, ah. As he got older, he was able to focus. He was able to laser focus. and shoot with precision. And a person who has many Pisces placements will learn, because your sun will progress to Aries at some time in your life. That's the thing. That's why I love the progress chart. Your sun will progress to Aries at some time. And you will know who you are. You will stand up and stand out and be able to really lead yourself, because you've come from a place that is so spiritual. When things are in the 12th house, a lot of things are left unsaid. You know, there's hidden things. That's the 12th house too. It could be the house of secret enemies. That's the house of Pisces. You know, this is why Pisces deals with scapegoating. The wool being pulled over your eye, feeling as if you didn't, you know, there were mistruths, and feeling as if it's not clear, and there was a lot of you know, that's what Pisces is, okay? It's everything and it's nothing. Now Saturn is going to come in there, okay? Saturn about to come through, and that's the thing. Listen, Saturn is on it goes through a 2.5-year cycle through each sign, and it's in Pisces, the last sign. Because anytime an outer planet goes to Aries, it's a new beginning. And Pisces has to shed whatever it doesn't need. And that's the thing with Pisces. It's a very cleansing thing because it's the ocean. Y'all don't want to give me more thumbs ups? Y'all not with me? I'm telling you, there's things to look forward to. That's why I love life. So, Saturn goes into Pisces. Saturn creates boundary structures. It legitimizes things, okay? It materializes things. That's also about Saturn. Saturn is about material assets, okay? It's about the proof in the pudding, all right? Oh, I wonder what Drew Barrymore's charts is. Proof in the pudding. And then so Saturn is going to legitimize, materialize, also limit, okay? It's also going to constrict, cut off, because Saturn is cutthroat, okay? If you've ever met a very Saturnian person, they're very dry. Their sense of humor can be very straightforward, and they can also speak very like this, you know what I'm saying? And they could speak very like that. That's what Saturn is. Saturn can be very, okay, I'm just telling you exactly what you need to know and move on. Thank you guys so much for liking the video. So Saturn is going to come into Pisces, and it means now it's giving shape, a form. It's building something, okay? But at the same time, it's also shedding. It's interesting because it's in Pisces. So there's a cleansing of what was built because it went through Aquarius, okay? So something was built there. And Pisces is going to cleanse it out and all that kind of stuff. And Saturn is going to go into Pisces. So what does that mean? Saturn is going to, at first, is that Sabrina? That's Sabrina. That's me, girl. Saturn at first is going to, because the planet is always going to smack that ass first, okay? Don't get it twisted. The planet is always going to smack you first with a 1, 2. Sometimes it might be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, it might be a real motherfucking combination. That shit might fuck you. This shit, sometimes it be like that, because Saturn, that shit will make you hit rock bottom, especially if it's hitting on your personal placements. Like, it will make you feel like you're fucking, what the fuck is going on? Because Saturn is a reality check, and this is why it's good if you know astrology. And the way that you actually help your chart is you use the houses that Saturn dictates in your chart, and you use that as an outlet. So say if Capricorn is ruling your 3rd house, you would talk, okay? You would read, you would write, you would blog, right? Aquarius is ruling your 4th house. You're about your emotions. You would speak to somebody close to you in your family, in your home. Okay, or you would create a space that's local or in your house, and you gather with a couple people in the neighborhood or who are close in your community, because the 3rd house represents community. So Saturn could be elders or people with some knowledge or some maturity. You can create a group. where you get a couple young ladies over, and you get a couple elders over, and then you guys have a cocktail hour, and you guys are having chats and you're talking, and now you have Saturn, Capricorn, third house, community, local community, or you get your aunt and your uncle or a cousin that you respect, someone that's mature, someone that's established, Saturnian, someone that's on a little bit more on the stricter side. They might come off a little bit more reserved, or like they might come off to you as if they had their shit together. Okay, so if you have Capricorn in the third and the fourth, and you use that energy as Saturn is transiting your moon or transiting your sun or whatever it might be, that's how you can release that. Okay, and just by doing that, you're going to automatically talk about home versus career, because you have the 4th house, 10th house axis. It'll be automatically talking about that. You hear what I'm saying? You'll automatically talk, and then you'll talk about the 3rd house and the 9th house. You'll automatically talk about education. You'll automatically talk about travel and all those things. All right? That's how you have to like literally use your chart for you. Or if it's a very close aspect to your Mars, create a workout group. Mars means action. It means muscles. It means going for it. Entrepreneurship. It means movement. All right? You're gonna express. So if you're the transit Saturn, okay, is gonna hit however it hits in your thing, and you're gonna use your natal chart to release the energy and the stress from it. You're not gonna use somebody else's natal chart, because your natal chart is a guide to you. You are the vehicle, right? If you're the vehicle, and you remember when you buy a vehicle and there's an instruction manual, think of the natal chart as your instruction manual to how to guide yourself. Another instruction manual to how to guide yourself. It's not the only one. There's several, but it's a really good one to let you know how to manage the energy inside yourself better. So you would look to your natal chart and you would try out both methods. You would look to your natal chart and you would look to your progress chart. A lot of the times you're going to intertwine everything, all right? Because your sun could have moved to the 5th house, and you want to host things. You want to have parties. You want to have fun. So this idea sounds good to you. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, that's one of your sun's in the 11th house. Or your sun is in the 9th house. So you're like, yeah, I see the big picture of this. I want to learn something. I want to gain some experience from this. It's going to make sense to your chart anyway, the way it's set up, because of the way that you got on the scene. So as Saturn is in Pisces, right? Saturn is going to first restrict and constrict and put limitations around Piscean type things. All right? Piscean type things is there's going to be, and Saturn is rules and regulations, so I can see new rules and regulations coming in for artists, filmmakers, actors, directors, like all that is going to shift, and there's going to be Saturn in Pisces, because Saturn was in Aquarius where everything was shared, right? There's streaming networks, there's streaming this, streaming that. Saturn in Pisces, first of all, things are going to dissolve that no longer can withhold and can stand that, okay? That also spiritually just might not make sense, or spiritually, because Pisces has to do with spirit and the everything beyond and unconditional and healing and all that other stuff that might not have the best healing methods. That will come up to question for that, right? Because Saturn will be opposite for like that Virgo energy. Virgo is paperwork. So that being said, Saturn in Pisces is going to restrict and constrict healers if you haven't legitimized yourself. So you need to get your paperwork in order. If you're a healer, okay? Tarot reader, any type of reader, astrologer, musician, artist, get your S corp, get your accountant, get whatever you need to do. Saturn in Pisces, because Saturn is going to have lessons for Piscean type of people. Okay, these people fall under that. So it's going to be, you need to have your paperwork in order. You need to have your Virgo, your work, your the details of your shit together. Saturn in Pisces. Now Saturn in Pisces also can legitimize new spirituality, a new spiritual practice. It can legitimize, it can make something more mainstream, it can make something more realistic, right? Because that's what Saturn is. Saturn makes things real. Pisces is the unknown and the mystical side. So it can make that Piscean thing real. If you have like a trine or especially a sextile, it can or a sextile, semi-sextile, excuse me. Possibly a quintile too, a biquintile, which is 72 degrees apart. You can legitimize yourself, okay, or become more legitimate. Say Saturn is in your, let me think. Saturn's transiting in your third house. And let's say it's Saturn is Pisces, you have Sun in Scorpio. And it's trining your Sun. You're going to get the ability to speak third house. Okay? In a probably with elders, definitely, because Saturn in third means you're going to have more conversations with people who are older than you. You want to gather information from Saturnian type of people. That's the third house. Third house is information, research. Saturn there means like, this is what I want right now. I want Saturnian, and these are the energies that you're drawing in. I'm telling you, if you write and journal this down, you'll be surprised at how the transits really show up in your life. You're like, whoa, that's crazy. And if you have that trine there, you can have, you can have the ability to, or you can have a sextile to your first house. Okay? You could have a sextile to your first house. And you could be a Sagittarius rising, right? Sagittarius? Yeah, Sagittarius rising. If Saturn's in the third. And you could have the opportunity to be flown out to speak somewhere. That's literally what can happen. Because of the third house, Saturn, you're taking your research seriously. You're talking to older people. This is when scholarships can come up. This is when running for local something can work as well. Like, oh, I want to run for local political whatever. This seat, that seat, whatever. Because the third house is local. Now, there will be delays because that's what Saturn is. But Saturn is hard work. You're not going to see the results like that until this transit is over. That's what Saturn is. Let me give you an example. I had Saturn transit in my 8th house. I overpaid the IRS. I haven't seen that check in like a year and a half. But I know it's there. I spoke to the people. I'm on hold with my accountant. But that's the 8th house. The 8th house deals with debt, taxes, debt. It deals with 8th house topics. That's Saturn. Saturn transiting in there. Okay? So I have to work hard. I have to wait for this money. I have to wait for that shit to come back. Saturn is like, oh no, you're going to learn to read better. You're going to learn not to double click. Okay? Right. That is just the IRS. But I'm telling you, it's taken me a long time. Everybody doesn't take a year to get it because guess what? They mailed it out a few times. It just hasn't gotten to where I'm at. It's not that they haven't mailed it. They've mailed it a couple times. It's because Saturn creates delays in the 8th house. That has to do resources from other people. It creates delays in there, meaning there's going to be a cutoff, some type of money tie that I have, another stream of income is going to be cut off. That's the 8th house. Okay, the 8th house, Saturn is like you have to, Saturn is across from the second, budget, maintain. That's the 2nd house. You have to learn your 2nd house for that. Now, how can I get out of it? I can use wherever my Saturn rules. Okay? The 7th house. What did I do? I talked to my CPA. The 7th house is whoever is helping you out. It's one-on-one service. Counselors, advisors, lawyers, CPAs, social worker. It's your one-on-one, your business partner, your marriage partner, your best friend. That is what the 7th house is. It's everybody who you partner up with. Okay, so I have my CPA now, boom. So this is what you can do when you're looking for it. So when I see a Saturn transiting the 7th house, I'll talk about that later. I would say get ready and get your debts in order. Pay this off. Look at your bills. Make sure you have a payment tracker on, that you're paying it only one time, because sometimes people are overpaying things. All right, so this is the type of things that are happening when you look at these transits. And so it'll be less stressful when you have Saturn going to the 8th, because you're like, oh, I'm good. I know Saturn's going to the 8th or Saturn's going to the 2nd. Oh, okay, let me save up this extra money. Nah, friends, I'm not going out. Like, I don't have this round. I'm not getting that round. Actually, matter of fact, I'm not drinking this month because when I drink, I spend this much money. Then I can save this, I can budget this, I can put this here. And then when Saturn is transiting those houses or transiting squaring your Venus, squaring your moon, squaring your sun, it's going to cut off something. It's going to cut off some type of resource. I'm telling you right now. Okay, especially if it's in the 8th house specifically. I'm talking about the 8th house transit, and it's hitting this. It's going to cut off some type of resource, something that you've been betting on. And we build our lives around our lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And we get used to our lifestyle, and we don't. The 8th, second house has to deal with savings. It has to deal with budgeting. It has to deal with stocks, trades, investments. It has to deal with learning about that. Any Taurus, Scorpio energy is all about learning about money, learning about budgets. And this is why I come to you guys with practical ideas, money ideas, how to make money, how to save money. I'm telling you guys this stuff because it makes sense. It's in my chart. It's a lesson that I have to learn. Okay? So, Saturn in Pisces is going to restrict at first those type of businesses because of legitimizing. And if you have, let's say you have Saturn in Pisces transiting, and you have a Sun in Gemini, Venus in Gemini, and it's a square. Because of the paperwork, and because you didn't do the paperwork, Gemini, or you didn't send an email, oh my God, please take my advice. Please take my advice. Please take my advice, please. It's because of a stupid little thing. It's going to cut off all your shit. It's going to cut off you're going to be so mad. Yo, what the fuck? Some shit like that happened to me. Trust me, I have Chiron and Gemini. It's all, for me, it's all paperwork, research, making sure I'm on top of it. Because the thing is, if you have Venus there in Gemini, Saturn there, it's going to cut it off, okay? So you have to be on top of if it's squaring your Gemini stuff, it can throw off one of your sources of money. So because it's missed email, getting fired because you didn't send out the email, didn't scan the thing. Do everything twice in that kind of transit. When it's a sextile or trine, you get support. Your authority figures are on your side because they're supportive and they understand because it's a trine. If it's trining to Libra, you guys can talk it out in a private meeting. Okay, or whatever. Or if it's trying to Aquarius, something in Aquarius, it probably happened to a bunch of people, so your boss can't get really mad and just tells everybody. But if it's squaring something, you're squaring Venus transiting, squaring your natal, Venus natal is squaring the transiting Saturn Pisces. Neptune dissolves things, it takes away things. You're just going to be like, what? And all of a sudden, let's say you're on a job where they keep calling you and it's a 1099 job, but they keep calling you, all of a sudden they're not calling you back. And you're just like, what? What happened? Because you didn't put that one research, you didn't hit the send button, you didn't, whatever. And Saturn there is the authority figure, okay? And they're not going to fight for you. They're not even going to, whereas there's a trine, your boss is going to be like, no, this person needs to stay here. We need to give them a raise. We need to, and this is why you can time things like that. When you have squares to your Venus, this is not the best time to push for a raise in a super, super, super negative, energetic way, because your boss is not going to be that behind you, especially if your Saturn is transiting the 6th house, if your Saturn is transiting the 12th house, things of that nature, or there's squares to transiting Saturn. That can create, or even Saturn in the 7th. It's like they might give you a raise and then take it back after the 2 years is over. But now you bought a car and you did this or whatever, and then you're just like, what? What is happening? So, okay. Saturn in Pisces is going to limit, at first, healers, people in the spiritual community, and for all different kinds of reasons. And then it's going to legitimize new, art. There's going to be definitely new art, and we can already see some of it coming up. There's definitely going to be new art, new filmmakers, new ways of expressing, new instruments. I could see something like woodwind or wood making sound. Okay, people finding out that certain woods make sounds, and people using, or people who create sculptures, making wooden sculptures and then selling them, especially if it's Saturn in your second house and you have 12th house energy, or Capricorn Saturn energy, and you like to build things and you like to sculpt things or whatever, like to use a knife, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So Saturn in Pisces can do that. It can create more crafters, craftsmen, people who are master artists. It can really legitimize and also bring into more authority people who are more spiritual, more gifted, different, and things of that nature. Saturn in Pisces can also create. I'm looking at you guys. Let me look at your comments actually. Yeah. So Saturn in Pisces is gonna do that for, like, you'll see it across on the news more, just kind of in your cycle, what's being promoted. Saturn also can represent your legacy, longevity, all those things, and Piscean is of that nature. There's a lot of things with Saturn and Pisces that I could say, but I'm going to go through the houses right now. Okay? So if Saturn is transiting your first house and you're Pisces rising, this is probably good. Okay? And when you're reading a chart with transits, you can use whole sign to see where it's going to start, but the closer it gets to your degree, the more it's happening to you. So that's all that really matters, most of the part, right? Say if you're using, I like to use Placidus because of the subconscious and psychological aspects of astrology with Placidus, but whole sign you can use for as well as with timing and seeing where it's going to happen and how it's going to happen. But the closer to your degree it is, the more you're going to feel it. So if your sun is at 12 degrees and the Saturn's at 1 degree, you're not going to feel it that much. I mean, some people say they can feel it when it goes into the sign. Everyone's going to feel the shift because that's an energetic shift for the world. Obviously, we're going to be more serious about Piscean things. We're going to be more serious about the ocean, more serious about oil, more serious about fish, resources to fish if there's going to be enough. We're going to be more serious about I said that already. I want to repeat myself. Artists, sculptors. We're going to be more serious about hospitals, asylums, ashrams. More people, especially elders, are going to be going to more spiritual places. We're going to be, we're going to see boundaries, restrictions on being able to go into foreign lands, things of that nature, because Pisces is foreign lands, things across seas. Saturn creates boundaries. So it's going to be that type of feeling with Saturn. Pisces is doing whatever we want, doing whatever we need. Pisces has no boundaries. It's hard for a Piscean person to say no, unless they have heavy Saturn aspects or other Earth placements. It's hard for Piscean people to say no to things or no to people. But with Saturn there, you're going to see self-sabotaging behavior that's no longer going to be adequate for your longevity, is no longer going to work out in your long-term plan. That's what Pisces is about. Pisces is about also forgiveness. I can see a lot of forgiveness towards your elders, towards the authority figures. I can see that happening as well. I can see with Saturn and Pisces, people being more strict about their religion. Okay? I feel like it's going to definitely be one of those things with Saturn and Pisces. Understand it's the last sign, it's the 12th sign. Pisces is about endings. Saturn is about authority figures and elders. So there will be endings around that. Certain structures, certain systems that we've seen. We're already breaking down in Saturn and Aquarius how people relate to each other, right? Currency structures, how the type of money that people use, the type of jobs that we have, healthcare systems, things of that nature are already breaking down with Saturn and Aquarius. Even though Saturn is Aquarius, meaning that people were going to hold on to those ideas, Saturn has breakthroughs in Aquarius. Okay, it's about and Saturn in Capricorn is holding it to a status quo, holding it to a standard, holding it to what everybody thinks it's supposed to be. But Saturn in Aquarius is about a breakthrough. It's about a break up. It's about a breakdown, right? And so Saturn in Aquarius is like, that's why it felt like people were grasping at straws. Aquarius is about groups, communities. Saturn there reinforces, tries to hold on to, builds. New groups and communities were built out of Saturn and Aquarius. Not just ones were broken down, but new communities were built as well. More people were relying on each other for different reasons, right? For their different skills, because Saturn is opposite Leo, for their individual gifts. Whereas in Saturn and Pisces, it's about, okay, cleansing it out, and because again, it's about water energy and breaking down whatever can't really be broken down. You guys have seen certain things in the ocean and they stay alive, or they hold their skeleton or whatever it may be until until time. Who knows when, how long? All right. So let's say, for instance, you have Saturn in Pisces, the first house. It's actually going to be probably a little bit better for you because the 12th house is hard for anyone to deal with in general. The 12th house is about things that we don't see. It's about delayed reactions, okay? Out of sight, out of mind. It's about areas that we neglect. It's about parts of ourselves that we abandon, parts of other people that we abandon as well, or abandon those signals in other people in relationship to them, or whatever the case may be. So if you have Saturn coming out of the 12th house in the first house, you're going to probably feel stronger. You're going to probably feel as if you have a better grip on reality. And you're going to be more serious, grounded, loyal to yourself, resilient. You could probably absolutely go through some things, because Saturn in the first house is like carrying a boulder, the entire time, even while you sleep. It doesn't matter where you are in the bathroom. It doesn't matter if you're at a party. It doesn't matter if you're at work. It always feels like you might be carrying something. So, but it's a relief because at least you know what you're carrying. And Saturn is wherever your Pisces is, your Capricorn and Aquarius house is. Which would be what? 11th and 10th house, I believe, depending on your chart. Am I saying that right? No. Yeah, 11th and 10th, I think, depending on your chart. And so with Saturn in the first house, you're going to feel as if, you can, something about bodybuilding, I feel like would be good for a lot of y'all. Weightlifting, things of that nature as well. Making sure that you check your teeth, especially your bones. Making sure you do research on whatever that means for you, because Saturn represents the bones, but the bones in the head specifically, okay? With Saturn transiting here, and also your teeth, you can have some type of teeth issues or just end up going to the dentist finally, things of that nature. Because remember, the 12th house is what we neglect, and when Saturn's transiting for 2.5 years, it could feel as if our system, how we treat ourselves, could be kind of off. So with Saturn coming out the 12th, you now are reinvigorated to show up, to be more serious. This might also sever relationships with certain other people because it's aspecting the 7th house. When you have Saturn transiting the first, you take yourself more seriously. Hey, Kev, you take your outcome more seriously. You don't take it lightly, especially if you have a sextile or a trine. It's going to come with a lot more acceptance, a lot more ease. If there's a square, it might feel as if certain things are being ripped away or ripped out of your hand, or that you feel people can't compartmentalize, right? With Virgo on the 7th, they can't compartmentalize certain things. Oh, I can't show up to your birthday party and now I can't be your friend all of a sudden. What? We've been friends for 18 years. What do you mean I can't be your friend? I was there for you when you were going through this, going through that, when this person did this and this person did that. And you're saying because I can't go because I'm trying to save money or XYZ, or, this year or I'm moving for this, we can't go. That's what kind of happens with Saturn and transiting the first. With Pisces, especially if you don't have Saturn in the first house, with Pisces rising or heavy Pisces placements, a lot of people can project onto you guys. They project their needs and their wants and their ideas onto you and make you feel guilty for not holding them and not doing or fulfilling the way that they want their dream fulfilled. Okay, this is why Pisces is the imagination, wherever that is, we're not very clear. And with the first house is the persona. And so this is why a person with Pisces rising a lot of times can be chameleons. However, with Saturn transiting here, you might have a look like this is just a look that I'm at. This is where I'm at right now. You might have a transit going on in that house, and then you have something hitting you, you know, your sixth house and also your fourth house. You want to be more internal, more private. You're just going to the gym, you're going home to work, and you're coming back. It doesn't matter. You have a uniform. That's what can happen with Saturn in the first house. Or you feel as if you have a more formed and structured identity. You have more clarity about who you are. You have a realization, Saturn coming out the first house. You know what I'm saying? You have a realization about, wow, this is my reality. This is where I'm at. This is who I am. And it could be something is very complex, but something such as, wow, this is my reality. This is insane. So Saturn here can create, would want you to understand that life is about to ask you to become more mature. You have to mature because Saturn has gone through all of its cycles, and Saturn teaches you the art of discipline. Have you learned through that round the art of discipline? Have you learned whatever that energy is asking, the 12th house? Have you dove into your spirituality? Have you done, have you helped other people? Have you done things selflessly? Have you sacrificed for, an elder? Sometimes with Saturn in the 12th house, you have to sacrifice for an elder. You have to be at the hospital a lot, or take them to daycare, or not daycare, or, some type of care, or you have to take care of them or move in. So Saturn in the first makes you, will show that up. So even if you were doing that, were you still making sure you were eating right and getting proper sleep and things of that nature, and creating some kind of schedule? Because Saturn in the first house can break down your body if you haven't been taking care of yourself. Okay, so the bones can feel achy. All right, so this is the thing with Saturn in the first house, but through weightlifting, through understanding your bone density, your bone structure, things of that nature, through, through understanding what discipline means to you, through understanding that it takes time. What does time mean to you? What does patience mean to you? Growing things one at a time. If Saturn's transiting your first house or any house, I would recommend you look up whatever takes about 2.5 years to grow. I don't know if it's a cactus, I don't know what it may be, but plant that or have that around, and you're going to be starting that process and then see the reward that you'll get afterwards. Because after this transit, Pisces rising, you're going to know who the fuck you are, and can't nobody tell you shit. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be fabulous. But life is going to come at you. It's going to come at you because you really have to know who the fuck you are if you're trying to come out and do this life thing. You can't let these people run all over you and what you want to do and this, that, and the third. You have to stand up for yourself. And sometimes you have to take your own authority. You have to take responsibility for who you are when you have Saturn transiting the first house, who you are and how you show up. You have to take responsibility for that. And that's what's happening when you have Saturn transiting your first. So at first you're going to, you could be, do you complain? Do you whine? Are you a person that emotionally shuts down? Because Saturn in the first can make your personality dry too. It can make it dry for no reason. Life is still supposed to be fun. That's why you have your 5th house. If you're not having fun, look at your 5th house. Or look at where your sun is located. But really take this transit seriously, because when Saturn's in the first, baby, you're going to come out strong. Okay? And be very aware of what you're eating, things of that, because it's in conjunct to the 6th house. In conjunct creates friction. And so you have to take care of yourself, things of that nature. Don't go too hard. Don't go too fast. Saturn moves slow. Give yourself 2 years, 2.5 years, whatever goal that is. Oh, I want to learn Spanish. I want to, buy a house. I want to travel to these many places. I want to, you know, give yourself some time. Give yourself some time. Learn a little bit. Yeah. When Saturn's transiting your second house, you're going to, this is Aquarius rising, right? Is it? Wait. I always get these backwards. I always do this. Aquarius. Saturn in Pisces. Yeah, Aquarius rising. If Saturn's transiting your second house, you could experience some dried up funds. Okay, some setbacks, some financial setbacks in the beginning. That's if you haven't been budgeting. And if you haven't until today, and you're like, Novi, fuck, I haven't been doing it. I haven't been budgeting. It's okay. Do it today. $5. Put it to the side. Let me see when this transit is happening. That's why I have my phone here. So you can absolutely, Saturn in Pisces transit is happening from March 2023 until February 2026. All right. That's when it's happening. So it's a long time. It's 2.5 years. So Saturn in the second house can bring on situations of poverty if not managed correctly. Because Saturn wants you to create a financial system. It wants you to make sure that you are budgeting for long-term situations. So Saturn in the second, I have a natally in the sixth. You might have to eat the same meals all the time. Okay? So with that kind of thing, you're going to want to, because the second house is what we put in our throat, and Saturn here makes dryness, so it can be that, okay? It can also be like choking on a goddamn chicken bone, so be careful. All right? So, but Saturn in the second house is going to make you stricter on your values, stricter on your spending, because it could constrict how you make your shmonies, and that's okay, because everybody deals with this transit in their life. Or if you have sextiles, especially if you have sextiles, and most of y'all do have a sextile when these things are happening. That's why I always recommend looking at them, because sextiles give Venus energy, which means there's an opportunity to make money out of it. Okay? If it's in an air sign or a fire sign, you have the opportunity to make money. Serious money. Saturn in the second house. Saturn here can make you more of a, because it depends on what cycle you are and how old you are and how much experience you've had, all that. Your progress chart, you guys know that. But Saturn in the second house can make you more of a mature person when it comes to money and spending and having those kind of habits. It can make you a person who is serious about long-term stocks and budgets and things of that nature, because Saturn here in the second is long-term. So something you do for 2 years, 2.5 years, something that you invest in for that long. But Saturn also here might have an elder ask you for money that you might not get back for a long time or ever. So don't depend on it, depending on their aspects in your charts together, blah, blah, blah. But Saturn in this house can also talk about antiquing, okay? Taking things and old things and putting them up for sale, yard sales. It can also talk about working with an elder, working with a grandparent, working with an elder sibling, especially if it's aspecting Gemini. To make money, that opportunity could be there. If there's a trine there, that's what I'm saying. If there's a trine there, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, a sibling could come in and say, hey, you want to make money? Do you want to make some money? And you think it's nothing. And it's all of a sudden this serious money. After two years, you're like, what the hell? Why didn't Bobby tell me shit about this? There's nothing going on. And then two years later, Bobby come back around and be like, here's $1 million. So don't play with Saturn, because It might be bare bones in the beginning. There might be a restriction in your funds, but it's because you're about to get blessed. Okay, you're gonna get blessed after the transit's over. So everyone has to go through this situation. I have Saturn in the 6th natally. So I get it. And it makes you more frugal here. It makes you more serious, reserved in your spending. And maybe you need to tone it down a little bit. Or perhaps you need to, it's on the flip side, and you've been investing in things that are cheaply made. And now you want to get serious about second house, especially if you have a Libra stellium, making your own clothes, being serious about your fashion, building a staple closet, becoming an embroiderer, crocheting, things of that nature. Or if you're a voiceover artist, you have that, the Jupiter is transiting, you have a sextile going on, I think from Taurus to Pisces, then yeah, sextile, you can totally get into voiceover arts and do characters that are older or more reserved or quieter, things of that nature. And that might take you some time, but you will know when Saturn's in the 3rd, oh, okay, like I'm taking this more seriously. So if you have Saturn transiting your 2nd house, it can also, what else could it do? It can make you cut off going to certain restaurants. You could also end up visiting a really old and established restaurant. You could end up inheriting, depending on if there's like 8th house things going on, inheriting a family business because of that 2nd house energy and that Saturn energy. Yeah, that's what's going to happen most of the time with money. But the key words here are budgeting, being frugal, donating, things that are old, getting things that you don't have use for anymore, also that are tarnished, or taking things that are old and making them new. So then if you have Saturn transiting your 3rd, it would make you more serious about research. It would make you more serious-minded, more timely, serious about your daily routine. You could be thinking about topics that make you question life and think about life and take life very, very, very deeply and poignantly, and you don't want to waste time anymore with Saturn transiting the 3rd. You could also enroll in a course. You could, if you're older, start teaching others with Saturn there, or taking that idea more seriously. You could end up wanting to do a book. Okay, this is Sagittarius rising, and you could do, if you have Sagittarius rising, Saturn transiting the 3rd in Pisces, you could absolutely be a person who, as I said, speaks to elders, moves into an older neighborhood, or starts seriously thinking about moving, because the 3rd house indicates wanting to think about moving. Saturn in the 3rd makes you much more intentional about your communication, because you could have been reprimanded for your words if you haven't, or you can be reprimanded for your words, especially if you have a lot of squares, inconjuncts, quincunxes, sesquisquadrons, squares, even oppositions. You can get reprimanded. Saturn is in the 3rd for what you've said, for what you've tweeted, for what you emailed, things of that nature. Or you could just become a more serious reader, a more avid listening to podcasts, things of that nature. Or you could also, I wouldn't necessarily try to buy a car if Saturn is transiting your 3rd, because you're probably, unless you have good aspects, but most of the time you probably get a fucked up car, or unless you're buying an old used car, or you're getting it donated from an elder, then that would be better. But trying to buy a brand new car with Saturn in the 3rd would probably only work if you bought a car that from an established car dealership, specifically. If you made sure that it's from a trusted dealership, things of that nature. All right, so when you have Saturn in the 3rd, you can get very serious about learning, writing, teaching, things of that nature, and you just want to be a part of those communities and situations. And it can indicate hardships with the sibling, breakdown in communication. But first, like I said, break before you get to the breakthrough. Remember that. Don't forget that. So it could be because your siblings falling on hard times. You know what I'm saying? Because of that Saturn transit in the third house. Or you guys could be more serious about your relationship and mending it. It just depends on which cycle you're in and what's going on for you personally. So if Saturn is transiting your fourth, I feel like it's Capricorn rising. This means that you might have moved recently, or or you're living around older people or with an elder, or an elder might move in. So an older aunt, uncle, mother, things of that nature. Pisces represents feminine energy, so it's usually a person with that. Sag rising. Okay, cool. This is Sag rising. So then, Pisces is on the third. On the fourth. Aquarius is on the third. Capricorn is on the second. And isn't Sagittarius on the first? Yeah, Sagittarius on the first. So then, mutable. But even if you have Capricorn rising, you guys have to figure out if it's whole sign for y'all or if it's Placidus. You're going to have to figure that out. So anyway, if that's happening, then you can get the opportunity. Then you, like I said, there might be an elder coming into the home, or you dealing with your past. You could be dealing with your father, okay? Like that stuff kind of comes back up for you. It might make you want to dig into your past. It might make you want to take your history more seriously, or building a home, or having a family more seriously. This could be, because Sag risings could be all up in wherever they want to be, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, I have to lay down roots. I have to be serious about this. I don't have anywhere to live. I don't have anywhere to really be. Or there could be hardships emotionally and internally, privately, that you have with your family members, people who are close to you. Something, unfortunately, your mother could be going through a hardship, or again, family members. It depends on aspects. And it could come through, like if Saturn was squaring your Uranus, it could come through an accident, unfortunately, an accident at home. Maybe your mom fell, and then she went to the doctor, but then she found out XYZ, but it's actually okay because thank God they went there, and now you have a miracle, things of that nature. So when you have Saturn in the fourth, it's kind of make you want to dig into your history, if it was especially if it was aspecting Virgo, because it creates a square to Virgo, so definitely a health issue could come up, okay, for family members and things of that nature, or whatever the case may be, or whoever. But Saturn in the fourth can create difficulties within the home or living situation. It can make you want to separate from your family. You'll move out, or you can move out for the first time. Then you can feel very lonely or isolated, things of that nature, because it's your first time realizing like, oh, I have to pay the bills and I have to do X, Y, Z, and things of that nature. A lot of times when Saturn's transiting your fourth for the first time, that's what's happening. Or if Saturn's transiting your fourth, it could just be difficult in general. Maybe you became a new mother and it's harder than you thought, and the first 2 years is just not that easy for you, things of that nature. Or it could be things of trying to find a home, and it's just not working out, you know what I'm saying, because Saturn's transiting that place. And so it's hard unless there's good aspects, like I said, to buy a home when this is happening, because a lot of the times the structure is messed up. A lot of the times the building is not what you thought it was. It's a lot older than it is. It's just not what you thought it was when Saturn is there. Or Saturn can create delays in buying it. Maybe the person can't be found, or they're on vacation, or you guys keep missing each other, things of that. It could be something as simple as that too. And after Saturn leaves here, then all of a sudden you have, you guys close an escrow, things of that nature. So it really depends on your aspects and what the story will tell. But with Saturn here and in the fourth house and in Pisces, definitely, I feel like, especially for y'all will definitely be digging into your ancestral history, because Pisces is already that um, for you, and you already take your home very seriously. It's your living quarters, it's your sacred space, things of that nature. And so when Saturn's there, you're probably going to get more serious about even creating an altar, being more spiritual at home, things of that nature could also come into play. Now, if you have Saturn transiting your fifth, you would be Capricorn rising, right? So this definitely creates, I think, a sextile, which is great. Saturn always turns out okay in the fourth house. It always makes it worth it. Because, I'm sorry, when Saturn's finished transiting the fourth house, you're more emotionally strong, you're more resilient, you're more able to handle things better. You understand what it takes to be in a family. You understand what it takes to be to lay down roots, and the hard work that it takes to really build from the inside out. You're going to understand that you're going to deal with yourself emotionally. With Saturn in the fourth house, it's going to be very internal, but you're going to know it's worth it. You could be building a house. You could be building something from scratch at this point. It really depends, because the fourth house is really from scratch. You could be attaining a new skill, things of that nature, and you're going to have to see something literally come from the ground up. So you're going to be proud of yourself when you're done with this transit, though. So get cracking on that, whatever it is, because I'm sure you've done your research. I'm sure you have in mind what you want to do. So then, if Saturn is transiting your fifth house, your love life could dry up, okay? Or you could get more serious about who you date and how you date, even casually. You can get more serious about making your creative hobbies an asset of joy for you. You can find your favorite musicians under this, or people that you really connect with spiritually, because the fifth house has to do with fun and creativity. You could go back to reading your childhood books again. But I feel like most of you will be stricter on dating. You'll probably lose some childhood friends or people you've known for a long time, because when Saturn transits the fifth house, it could be testy. For people who just want to, you'll grow up a little bit. You'll realize who's there for you for now and who's there for you for the future, because it's going to be opposite your 11th house, and your 11th house has to do with your future. So Saturn in the fifth can also make you attracted to people who are older, more mature. It can make also you more sad about dating, feeling like you're not getting invited nowhere because you're not really supposed to be outside like that. Or you can make your fifth house your business with Saturn transiting here, becoming a serious host, becoming a serious whatever you want to do, serious type of artist. So you're going to be spending a lot of time at home, right? If you have a stellium in the third house and you have Saturn in the fifth, you might be serious about learning how to drum, learning the harmonica, learning how to play an instrument, whatever the case may be. So you're going to spend a lot more time alone. You're going to say no to parties. You're not going to want to go out as much. But if you're a person who loves to go out, let's say if you have a stellium in the 11th house, then you're just really going to pick and choose. That's really what's going to happen. You're going to always get invited places with that. But it really depends. So like if you have a whole stellium in the 11th house and you have Saturn transiting your fifth with nothing in there, then you're probably going to be like, what the fuck is happening? No one's inviting me, anyone. I don't feel like I'm connecting to anyone. I'm not feeling like I can, whatever. But if you have planets in both, then it's going to be a whatever you decide. It's going to be back and forth, okay? Because it's like that. It creates that opposition. So, especially if you're a person that's driven like an 11th house person, or all your, your first house is in your 11th house, and your 11th house is getting messed up because your network is getting reworked. The way that you approach fun, what you think is fun, is going to get reworked. The way you spend your time, the way you spend your leisure time, the fifth house, the way you spend your casual time, things you're attracted to, things that make you laugh is even gonna, you probably might have a more morbid sense of humor around this time, or just take things a little bit too seriously. You can also get pessimistic with Saturn in the fifth house when it comes to love and dating, especially if you've been looking for that. Especially if you have, North Node in the seventh, or North Node conjunct Venus, or like stellium in Libra. Like you really want to be in a relationship, but Saturn is drying it up for you. Is because you have to be more serious. You have to take your time when you're dating, and you have to be more patient when it comes to love. You have to be more strategic with your joy. You have to be more mature. You just have to be more mature. Maybe you haven't been taking care of your kid like you should, and so then you have to pay more attention to that, because Saturn also can mean that. Saturn brings around responsibilities. Fifth house deals with children. This can also, be a new parent or something of that nature, and feeling like, oh, I can't go out, I can't have fun, I have a new baby, or I'm pregnant, whatever the case may be, I can't go nowhere. That also happens with Saturn in the fifth. Or Saturn in the fifth can kill your joy for wanting to have kids, right? Researching too much, reading too much, caring about too many other people's opinions, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do it anyway. It can also make you feel less romantic. However, Saturn there, once again, is reinforcing and inviting you to be a little bit more serious and have more long-term aspects and long-term goals when it comes to what makes you happy, and to really rework that, because a lot of the times with the things that we make us happy are wrapped up in our trauma. You know what I'm saying? And they're wrapped up in our hurt, and our coping mechanisms to use that hurt, and then we call it fun. So that's why Saturn's transiting your fifth house. Saturn transiting your sixth is Libra rising, or Scorpio rising, right? I don't know. Six. You guys will figure it out. I really don't care, because interceptions or not, you guys will figure it out. So Saturn's transiting your sixth house, Pisces. You have to get more serious about your routines. You have to get more serious about your health. You don't want anything to come up out of nowhere, because it could be a long-term problem, especially if Saturn in the sixth. It will give you lessons around dating, and if you've just been loose with it, you could come up with some shit that won't go away. You know what I'm saying? And it's still Scorpio South Node, so let's not play these games. Strap up, y'all. Always strap up. But Saturn in the sixth can definitely bring you a longer-term problem. It can impact your health. It can also create, constipation issues, digestion issues for the sixth house, or it can make you more serious about your diet, your health. It can make you feel as if, okay, like I really need to tap into my body, into my mind. It can make you more serious about holistic healing, herbalism. It can make you more serious about detoxing and learning to purify your body. It can make you more busy. Well, actually, not more busy, because it could definitely create more burdens in your everyday life. Like, it feels like your everyday life is a fucking struggle sometimes with Saturn here. I have this natally, so it should be crazy sometimes. It feels like that at first, but it does get better. And and Saturn in your sixth can also, just make you kind of hate your job. I'm not gonna lie, it can make you hate your job. When I had my Saturn return, I was crying at every job, because I just hated being there so much, because I didn't want to do any of that. So it can really make you feel isolated and lonely at work. Saturn here also creates long-term debts. So whatever credit cards and shit like that, or whatever you incur under this, is going to be a while. It's going to be so annoying for you on your ass. So just be aware of that, taking on any debts. Also, the sixth house deals with work enemies. So Saturn here could just, like I said, you could just be dry at work, or drawing in people that are dry, or you could be more serious about your everyday work, showing up every day. Saturn also represents maturity, so you could be in your 50s going through this, so you could be more mature and like, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing that, things of that nature. It really depends on where you are in life. But Saturn to your sixth house can definitely make you think about your everyday life a little bit more. It can make you get an older pet. because that's what Saturn represents. Sixth house is your pets, or you know, you can adopt a pet too. That's what's happening. You're like, Saturn's your sixth house. I can't stand my job. Yeah, it'd be like that because everything is boring. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do when Saturn's transiting your sixth house. Unfortunately, it's gonna impact your 12th house, so your mental health and your body health is gonna come up to question during this transit as well. Like, oh my God, why would I spend my time at this job for this amount of money? It's a lot of math, a math in type of energy. You know, because Saturn will make you stress at first. You'll probably end up taking on another job or taking on more responsibilities, and at the end of it, you're gonna probably think like, was it worth it or not? And that's what you're gonna weigh at the end of it. So Saturn's just gonna make you feel more responsible, okay? In that situation, it's going to also just make you more serious at work. People are gonna look at you at work as more of a boss, you know. And that's what's happening too with Saturn in the 6th transit. You could have stellium in the 10th house, and you're gonna be like, I can't work for other people. I gotta actually work for myself. You know, things of that nature. Saturn in the 7th. Saturn in the 7th is not gonna break any relationship that's not meant to be broken. And I don't say that nonchalantly because our relationships are tied up in a lot of things, but I'm saying that realistically. So Saturn in the 7th is going to show you who's real and who's not for you. It's going to give you a reality check and the people closest in your life. You're going to have one serious or two serious things going on with your partner, especially when it hits your angle and it hits any planets up there in there, or if it's creating an aspect to a personal planet at that degree. So Saturn there can make you feel a little bit disconnected from your partner, and it could be due to work. This is also Saturn in the 1st. Some of you can just go away for work, literally, and that could be the disconnection, you know. But Saturn there also could legitimize, make your relationship more serious. It can make you more committed. It can make you more long-term as well. It can make you more attracted to older people, once again, with Saturn in the 7th, or you wanting more established people, or wanting to be connected with people of status, accolade, respect, authority. You know, Saturn cuts ties with things that are not strong and that universe does not see a long-term plan for you. That's all that Saturn does. That's it. So you're gonna have to let that person go with Saturn transiting there. And that's why it can cause divorces, but it can also cause marriages, especially when Saturn goes into the 8th. Okay, and so Saturn is going to make you wait. If you have Saturn there natally, you don't get married early. If you do, it usually, unless you have aspects or, you know, stellium there, Saturn there with North Node there, you know, Venus trining it, then you're going to have long-term partners, and you're meant to have long-term partners. But in most cases, Saturn there creates a limitation. And it gives you limited access to your partner, whereas in Saturn, your partners have limited access to you. Okay, because you create the barrier, Saturn creates the barrier wherever it's at. So it feels like you can't reach them. You know, it feels like an old topic can be brought up, you know, things of that nature. Or you could just end up meeting your partner's grandfather, you know, or your grandparent, and you get their blessing. It really just depends, because you could have a Cancer placement, you know, things of that nature. So that's with Saturn there. Saturn, you'll see your partner get more distance, more serious. They need a system. So yeah, the angular houses can be rough because, you know, it creates a mirror for us. Saturn creates strictness, so your partner has to be more disciplined, and we have to keep being realistic about how we treat our people in our lives. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Saturn is doing. Saturn is being like, but slow down, baby. Delay this, you know? Or Saturn in the 7th could be you're engaged and you're trying to get married and you have Saturn transiting your 7th. There could be a delay, you know? The thing is booked up, the pastor's on vacation, things like that happen. You know, anything can happen. It doesn't have to be this horrible thing. It could just be like, dang, like this is still happening. But if you're transiting the Saturn in the 7th and you're already engaged and you're supposed to get married, and let's say you really couldn't get married for 2 years and y'all are starting to break up, why? You know, you're supposed to get married anyway. So you know, that it, like the relationship breaks down, maybe the marriage wasn't meant to be. So Saturn can be a lifesaver because Saturn is a protector. Boundaries protect you. Condoms protect you. Condoms a boundary. It protects you. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not always a bad thing. So then Saturn is transiting your eighth house, eighth house. That was Virgo rising, right? Yeah, but Saturn is transiting your eighth house. You could be getting married, a deeper commitment. Okay, you could be getting more serious, deepening your seriousness. Saturn in the eighth house also can make you feel like a little disconnected sexually, or makes you more serious about your sex life. It really depends on where you are. It really depends on your aspects. It can make you, Saturn in the eighth house makes you feel that way. It can make you more serious about your mental health and going to therapy. It can make you more serious about tackling your debts. It can also make you get long-term debts. Again, if you're not aware and you're just like, damn, because if you take anything on in the eighth house, it's going to be there for a long time. It represents, you know, insurance and all that other stuff, wills and things like that. Also being aware of that and having more conversations about that, talking to your elders about that, getting contracts for that, wills, trusts. You can also inherit something from an elder with this transit as well, with Saturn transiting there. Here in Pisces, it could be a gift, a dream, it could be anything. Okay, it could be money, really, really old money could come in, but you have no clue it's coming. Okay, you have no clue. It might take a really long time for it to reach you. So, yeah, that's what's happening with Saturn there. It could also make you like more serious about your privacy, more serious about being mysterious. It can make you more, it can also put you in a crisis state financially, for sure, about your future. There's definitely a financial crisis that happens that will make you think about your longevity, what you want to do in the future, things of that nature. Because Saturn is also your 10th house rulership, so it has ties to your career. Then Saturn, if it's transiting, if Saturn is transiting, what else is in your 8th house? There could be death of an elder, unfortunately, but you know, if they're older, hopefully they've lived a good life. We all have to deal with death. It also makes you more serious about dealing with death. It can make one more morbid as well. It can make one more paranoid, depending on aspects, you know, because if it's a lot of squares to it, you know, like I said, Gemini, there could have been, you know, a death of somebody in the neighborhood or somebody that's close to you that could just really shake you up and make you look at death way more seriously and deal with that and heal that and come to head with that. You're gonna have to deal with your traumas and your triggers that are old, that you thought were bare bones, that you thought were dead, but they not. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, fuck, I gotta deal with this shit again. So that can also happen with this transit, because it can make you just feel like, damn, when is this shit the fuck over? So, what else? So Saturn, what else? Yeah, because that literally can happen, or it could, you know, square your Virgo. So you lost a job that you thought you had for a really long time, and you thought you were good, or something about your health could really shake you up. And it could be some kind of thing that you're trying to deal with, some type of life and death issue. That can also be the 8th house, you know. Saturn there is making a reality for you and having to come to terms with that, and dealing with maybe talking to a shaman, running into somebody older that has really deep occult knowledge and gathering that knowledge, you know, because I said it could be square Gemini, like, but you could get information still, you know what I'm saying, because Gemini is information. So then, what else? I'm trying to think of, is there anything else for the 8th house? The 8th house is also your other your partner's money. So their money, again, could be like the second house reading. Their assets, it slows down, okay? Or the assets are tied up into something for a long time. All right, things of that nature can also happen. They could be more serious about their money, but Saturn is that eighth house, is your partner's money. Okay, they can make serious bank that year too. They could work with a lot of hedge funds and top businesses because Saturn in the eighth house is powerful. You know what I'm saying? And this is why, who will you get the resources from when you have Saturn there? You can't get resources like you always get resources when you have Saturn there. Saturn means elders, people with maturity, longevity, businesses that have been around for a long time. Means that that's the type of people you want to go with. If you're a content creator and you have Saturn transit in your eighth house and your money's not coming in like it used to come in, you need to Pisces and get creative, come up with campaigns. Okay, because your Virgo is the second house. The more work you put in, the list, the effort you put in, the time, you're really good on timing, things of that nature. You're sending out emails. You have to, step by step. That's Virgo. And you have Saturn trans in your eighth house. It might slow down your money, but honey, you might get that partnership at the end of that shit that is a long-term contract. Because it's, that's what Saturn could be there too. Saturn is long-term things, okay? Things that you build up. And Pisces there is like, oh, I have this makeup sponsor. I have this sports sponsor. I have this aquamarine sponsor because, like I said, Pisces deals with anything that deals with the ocean. Marine biologists, swimmers, surfers, fishers, people who go boating, people who deal in the oil industry, the perfume industry, people who deal also pharmaceuticals because Saturn is opposite of Virgo. Virgo deals with pills, holistic and herbs. Like that's gonna be you could be an older person going back to college with Saturn transiting the ninth. Like, oh my God, I feel like an old person in college. Okay. No sound. It returned. Okay, cool. So Saturn transit your ninth is not bad. It's good for education. It's good for, wanting to learn something long term. However, it can slow down if you're trying to get to college. It can delay the process. It can make college feel like it's hard for you. It can make college depressing. People with Saturn in the ninth, South Node in the ninth, can feel like college is a depressing time for them or they didn't enjoy it. But every experience doesn't have to feel good. And we have to understand that as human beings, right? Every experience is meant to learn, to teach us something. So, but Saturn transiting here can make it feel as if, you could get very serious about your religion, your faith. You can get serious about gaining wisdom, but it can also slow down your international travels. It can make you travel for work specifically. Like you're not going to travel for leisure, for fun. You'll travel for work or with work in mind or going because of work purposes. Because that's what Saturn brings there. Also on behalf of an elder. Because remember, that's what Saturn brings there. Or you can get invited by an elder, like a grandpa, grandma, an elder aunt, uncle, elder sibling, and you can get invited to go on a trip, and they pay for it. Things of that nature really depends on your chart, okay? But Saturn in Pisces in the ninth, I would recommend being careful around waters, especially no drinking in water, things of that nature, because Saturn in Pisces is going to deal with self-sabotage. Is going to deal with people who have addiction issues, things of that nature, and there's going to be reprimands for that. Okay, that's what Saturn is. And in the ninth house, it's like traveling, and if you have square to Uranus, square to Mars, it could be an accident. You know what I'm saying? And you'll never know. So just be really careful with that kind of stuff. When you have Saturn in Pisces, it's just going to slow that down, but you're going to get more serious about it. Also, if you're trying to publish something, Saturn in Pisces can make it hard for you to find a publisher. If you have a business that deals with import-export, it can slow that down or make it more difficult for you to find a warehouse. But again, it's going to take time. You're going to have to do research to find it because it's opposite your third house. You can absolutely draw in an elder and a guru, but again, if it's a square, they might not really fuck with you, or they might just make it hard for you. But they're going to help you build character, okay? If it's a trine, it could, or a sextile, it could be somebody you really appreciate, you really like, you guys vibe, and it could be a long-term guru, somebody that gives you amazing advice and stays around for a long time, things of that nature. That can happen with Saturn in the 9th house. Also, it can give you, tenure. All right. Let me see. Did it cut out? I better not have cut out. 9th house transit will be when I start my master's. The time I cannot. Yes. So it's going to be your master's, depending on your aspects, is going to make you work. It's going to make you work. But you're going to feel very accomplished when you get out of there. And you're good. So that's what Saturn transiting there. Saturn transiting your 10th house. Saturn belongs in the 10th house, so you're going to have more responsibilities at work. You're going to be working towards a goal, and it's going to seem like it's taking forever. It could be a project that you get started on. It takes 2.5 years for it to complete from beginning to end. Saturn also here, depending on aspects, your bosses, your authorities, your elders. You can meet people of high status, they can have connections, things of that nature with that 10th house. They could be at the top of their top. Okay, creme de creme. I don't know, Michelle. Is it? Does that happen all the time? Ooh, tell me. Does that happen all the time? Let me know. So, Saturn in the 10th house can definitely bring that about. All right, Saturn can make you more responsible when it comes to your long-term plans. All right, it also makes you more realistic about your career and your career goals. There's gonna be some shit you're not gonna like about your career. There's gonna be some delays, some pushback, some limitations, people testing you. You're gonna need a lot of resilience, patience. You're gonna need to breathe in, breathe out. You're gonna need to spend a lot of time at home, and you're gonna be getting stressed from the house as well. Okay, if Saturn's in your 4th, people are going to be thinking like you're lazy emotionally and blah, 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 because you're going to be more internal. You're going to be more, you want to sleep more when Saturn's in your 4th, things of that nature. And they're going to be like, why aren't you outside? Why aren't you doing your career? This, that, and the third. A lot of the times if that's transit happening. When Saturn's in your 10th transit, people are going to be complaining that you're not home enough, that you're taking work too seriously, you're putting work above everybody else. So that argument can come up a lot too. This is why Saturn on the angles it can create a rift, a tie. It's going to create something because it's on your angle. It's literally your purpose. It's your compass on who you are, and it can change your thing, So Saturn in the 10th is, you're going to be more serious about your, how you look to the world, your public image, your reputation. Saturn in the 10th can bring your father back around. Saturn in the 10th can also make you a father, as well, where you have to work more and provide more and things of that nature as well and be out the house, right? Saturn in the 10th is there, right? Exactly. Saturn is time. Yes. Take your time. It's about rebuilding things. It's about building things, and seeing how far you can go. All right. And seeing that it just basically, that's what Saturn is like. What is my purpose here? Can I see myself long term here? That's really what it is. Saturn here creates a shift in the career. You're either going to go deeper into it or you're going to cut ties with it. Okay, Saturn here can also be a cutoff. Okay, Saturn square Mercury. Oh, you said something. It's in Virgo. The assistant said you said something and now you're cut off at work even though you've been there 17 years. And worked your ass off and never missed a day. And then you guys hear stories all the time about people getting fired out of nowhere for nothing. Okay? Because, Saturn there, and especially if you have Saturn natally there, it makes you want to stay long term at the same place. But Pisces wants you to go, God wants you to go there. It's wherever God wants you to be. Whatever God needs you to be. That's what Saturn in the 10th house is. Saturn in your midheaven. You're here to inspire people. You're here to be a chameleon. You're here to be a shapeshifter. You're here to change things, to come from the bottom, to come up. You're here to show people what it means to make a dream, something out of nothing. You're here to do that when you have Pisces in the 10th house. Saturn is transiting here, making it reality for you. It could be great for somebody. Even if squares can make great situation. It's still going to challenge your everyday life, a square. But all squares aren't bad. All squares are actually, they could be fun. It could change your life for the better. All fun. Oh my God, I have this baby. I'm having the best time. I can't sleep. I can't eat, but I love this baby. You know, there's people like that too. So, everybody doesn't take a square negatively. So that's why you can't look at squares as negative. Some people love Saturn. They love Mars. They love Pluto. You know, they embrace that energy. They love Uranus. Doesn't mean that you know, you can't handle it. Like, you could totally handle it. So Saturn in the 10th house brings it back. Okay, is it time to get? No, you can get Saturn. You can get braces with Saturn in the first house. It's a great time. It'll take 2 years. Be serious about it. Boom, boom, boom. It'll be money well spent. Like, you can totally get Saturn in the first house because, like I said, it has to deal with your teeth. I said you're gonna do something to your teeth with Saturn in your first house. So totally, if you want to get it together, it makes sense. Okay, so what's up, boo? Hi. 99 minutes. Okay, so now Saturn in the 11th. Saturn in the 11th is, you're gonna have cutoffs with friends, an older brother, an older sibling too. All right, but cut off from friends, cut off with your network, the way you spend your time, your dreams will change. You'll take your dreams and goals way more seriously. Saturn is also the 2nd house of the 10th house. So it can slow your money down from career. And like I said, you're going to take a shift in your career and in how you see your future. Saturn in the 11th makes you want to be around people who are more mature, more established than you. It makes you want to shift and change how you spend your time, who your network is, how you spend your money, who you party with. That's the 11th house, is a party house too. Your social network, severing ties with social media, changing your relationship with it, whether you're taking it for your business and creating some kind of, you know, Instagram for your business, things of that nature. And then Saturn in the 11th can also give you limitations around and restrictions and breakdowns. Remember, because you have breakdown to have a breakthrough. That's what Saturn is. Around the way that you want to communicate your future. So you could have been a person who hid things all the time. And Saturn in Pisces is like, well, I can't really get the help that I need. And you have a stellium in Virgo, and you want to make your creative stuff your hobby. You know, you have Mercury in the 1st, and you want to talk, and you want to host, and you want to do these things, and you want to be this, you want to be the front runner, but you can't do it without saying that you need help from somebody, right? And so you'll ask somebody for help, and it'll sever ties with certain people because they'll not want to help, or you'll sit there and you'll think, damn, do I want to be friends with this person? They're not going to help me with my future, and then it's going to make you come back to your values and your goals and make you question yourself and what you find important in relationships. And this is how all that shit goes, right? Because Libra's in the 6th house, and you're just like, wow, am I in relationships because I feel pity, I feel shame, I feel I need to be in relationships, or I have to humble myself in certain situations that are not situations I need to humble myself in, because I'm a Virgo stellium in the 5th house. I'm very creative, I'm artistic, I'm very good at what I do, things of that nature. But you have Saturn transiting Pisces, and you realize, oh, because when you have Pisces in the 11th house, you could be friends with all types of motherfuckers and not give a fuck and really have no standards for your friends. Okay, even though you have a stellium in Virgo, you can have Pisces in the 11th house. When you go outside, it's like you have too many standards for the people you date, but you don't have enough standards for the people in your network. That's what can happen. So Saturn there is going to make you more realistic, okay, and make you more like poignant, intentional about who you spend your time with and who you surround yourself with and who you share your bigger dreams with, things of that nature, okay? Definitely. And you'll be attracted to older people. I feel like I'm already started to feel it in a sense, because my career is connected to my school, because I have to collect hours and I start masters while Saturn is in the 9th transit. Yeah. I'm finding a way to work less now to alleviate that. Yeah, you'll be looking at your Capricorn and your Aquarius house, and that's how you can alleviate that energy, that house and the houses across from it. And it all works together. It's like super easy, you know. So that's what can happen with Saturn in your 11th. Expect to lose friends that were not serious about helping you build your future. And we could sit here and say we want party friends all we want. And we have party friends, you know. But party friends can't be part of your everyday life. Party friends cannot be part of your everyday life. It's not a thing. It can't be a thing. Back in the day when we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media, because now it makes you feel like you have to be in everyone's business and know all their shit. You would have your party friends. You would have your friends that you go to dinner with. You would have your friends you go on vacation with. You would have your friend that you would, you know, your little local neighborhood friends at the barbershop, the hair salon, things of that nature. So Saturn in the 11th house is going to teach you a lot about who you allow in your circle, who you allow in your time, who you allow in your space, who you're going to share your love with, your joy with. Even Saturn in the 11th can challenge, your friends can be critical of how you raise your children. Ooh, it's a hot topic, baby. Because Virgo's in the 5th. And you could be the type of parent, like, I'm on top of my kids. My kids are educated. They're groomed well. They've fed well. I take care of their health. You could also be overly critical, too. You could be the mom that looks after the kid way too much. You're a helicopter mom. All this other shit. I'm helicopter dad. You know, you do way too much. And your Saturn in Pisces, you could cut off motherfuckers who actually mean you well. And that's the crazy thing with these transits. It's like, you're going to realize at the end of the 2.5 years, and if that does happen to you, because we've all done it. Okay? We've all jumped to conclusions. It's a human thing to do. Just at the end of the transit, go back to them and apologize and rebuild the friendship. Because you'll see. You don't want a bunch of yes people around you. You don't want a bunch of people who tell you everything you're doing is right, especially when it comes to your kid. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody's like, oh, well, but y'all niggas be saying, oh, it takes a tribe. It takes a tribe. It takes a tribe. Well, does it? Or does it just take for me to say yes to what you want to say yes to? You know what I'm saying? It does take a tribe. And so, because Saturn could be opposing your, like I said, your Virgo 7th house, but there could be a sextile happening to your Taurus, and you could take this tidbit or that and put it into your routine and make it a consistent practice. You don't know everything, especially if it's your first one. You don't know shit. Okay? So that's what I mean about Saturn here. It's gonna be interesting because it can be give or take. The 11th house is the love that you share. Okay? The love that you receive. The 5th house is the love you share. The 11th house is the love you receive. And you could feel like, you know, you're not getting that. But you have that access right there. And that's a whole other thing. I could talk about your chart. Yeah, a village. Okay. So last one, Saturn in the 12th. Saturn in the 12th house is going to be difficult because if you don't have a supportive spiritual routine, therapist, or counselor, or a supportive friend that you can tap into. Because any big transits to the 12th house is going to dig up some stuff, things that you thought you were okay with. Okay? Old shit. Okay? In the 12th house, it is self-sabotage. It is also attracting an elder who is not your friend. There is somebody in your life, and we all find this out. This takes time. It takes time. Everybody's like, oh, I know discernment. I got this. I can sniff this person. I can sniff. Sometimes the person means really well for a long time, and then they're a piece of shit at the end. You know, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you don't know that this person means you ill will. You don't know that they're in your life for that. You don't know. So Saturn in the 12th is an authority figure, a father figure, and that is your enemy. All right? That can go against some of the things that you say. Saturn represents the limitations that you put around your spirituality. It can represent how you repress your gifts, your intuition, your imagination as well. Okay, Saturn creates that. But Saturn also can, like I said, make you more serious about your 12th house things. Makes you more serious about eliminating, purging. Make you more serious about going to ashrams, helping in hospitals. making you more serious about your mental health, your spiritual health, making you more, you know, wanting to have long-term plans that need to kind of put together and break them apart, break them together and break them apart. Okay, all that. That's what happens when you have Saturn in the 12th. Everything that you feel like you're building, you feel like it's falling apart, but it's not. He said, not too much now. So Saturn here is, it makes you a person who's serious. It can make you a night owl. It can make you a person Saturnian, right? That has a fallout with, or a deeply spiritual connection with your elders. This can also bring, you know, ancestors into your dreams. Your dreams can feel like a building block. You know, keep a dream journal during this time. It can feel like a building block, like this one little piece of dream, that little piece of dream, this little piece of dream, and then at the end of the 2 years, you have the whole dream. You know, that can definitely feel that way. Don't be scared. You guys are going to learn how to manifest for real. You're going to learn how to make your dreams a reality with Saturn in the 12th. Saturn in the 12th can also sober you up, okay? Sober you up to a lot of things, because it's opposed in your 6th house. It can sober you up to the things that you do every day that might be a waste of time, might be a waste of energy, things of that nature, okay? Because you have Virgo in the 6th. So it's energy management, and really being poignant about that, and realizing, like, I don't need to cook this extra meal. I don't need to go to the grocery store another day. I can actually Instacart. No, actually, I'll garden for myself. You know, you can record yourself while you're dreaming too, Jayla. Get a phone, get your computer, get your laptop, record yourself. Start doing your own sleep studies on you. You can enter a sleep study at this time too. Saturn in the 12th could give you that. Especially if it's trining Venus, you could get paid for a sleep study. It'll just take long. Not your doctor, but don't ingest nothing. So I feel like with Saturn in the 12th, it depends on your aspects, Melina. Saturn, if you've been dreaming a lot, Saturn here can make your dreams feel too real. All right, make you feel like you don't know what's real, what's not. This is why Saturn in the 12th can make you very abstract. It can make you very conspiracy theorist. You're very like, how's everything running in the background? What are they using? What is this? What is that? Listen, baby, no power is bigger than God. No power. I don't care what man, human, technology you got. Nothing is greater than God. God got it already planned out. Humans think they can outsmart God. You can't. And I always tell my Virgo placements, you can't outsmart God. Pisces, you can't outsmart God. Relax. Okay? So, yeah, this is Aries ascendant, because Pisces would be in the 12th. So Saturn in the 12th just makes you, you know, I would keep my business to myself. I would keep my long-term plans to myself. Anytime a planet is in the 8th, 4th, or 12th house, private, keep it to yourself. You might abandon a business or abandon a dream, all right? Or neglect your business, or neglect your long-term plans, Virgo on the 6th, because of other things going on. And that's how life takes us sometimes, it does. But just try to give yourself at least an hour every day for yourself, for your plan, for your longevity and all that. Because Saturn in the 12th house can dissolve matters of that nature. All right, it can dissolve your discipline too. It can really dissolve your discipline, because it could throw off your everyday life. And it dissolves your discipline. It's like, damn. You know, it could really make you hard on yourself, critical, judgmental, things of that nature. So, I hope that worked. If you guys want, join my Patreon, patreon.com/Novi's Notes. I'm doing a class next month. It's gonna be lit. We're doing a live stream class like I did last time. Yeah, it'll be probably like the third week of January. I think I want to do it. And that's Saturn in Pisces transit. Saturn in Pisces is deep waters, the past, closures. It's a lot of endings, y'all. A lot of old shit gotta end next year. So it's not gonna be emotionally easy, but it's gonna be worth it. Because when Saturn goes into Aries, everyone's gonna feel stronger. Their identity, their long-term plans are gonna be way clearer over this next 2023 to 2026. It's gonna feel confusing. And hear me good when I say it's gonna feel confusing. It's going to feel like, why the fuck am I planning this? Why am I doing this? Why am I going to school or whatever? Da da da. Stick with your plan. Pivot when you can, but stick with your plan. All right? Because Saturn here is going to strengthen, I didn't even speak about this, your intuition. It's going to strengthen your dreams, your imagination. It's going to strengthen this by the end of it. It's going to strengthen your ability to really see the bigger picture. It's going to strengthen that. All right, it's going to definitely affect your Pisces moon because Saturn's going to transit over your moon. So absolutely, it's going to impact you big time. Okay, it's because it's an internal thing. And whatever shifts internally is going to shift externally because we make all of our decisions from in here. We would like to think all of our decisions are based on out here. That's how we confuse ourselves. All of our decisions are made from in here. All right, and I already went over all the houses. I appreciate you guys. I hope it helped. Remember, the closer it gets to your degree, the more you're going to feel it. 2.5 year transit. If it's on your planet, that takes 2.5 months. Usually, like the sun takes about 2 months, 2.5 months. The moon takes about 2.5 weeks. Mercury takes a couple more weeks than that. Things of that nature, because Mercury is your mind. But this transit is going to be on someone. Everyone has this transit. Everyone got to deal with it. Everyone has to deal with it. When it's in Pisces, it means go with flow. It means pivot. It means be malleable. It means swim like a fish. Swim like a fish. Fishes, they swim. If you ever really look at fishes, you'll see them going this way, and then all of a sudden you'll see them going this way. You'll see them going this way. You'll see them going this way. You'll see them going this way, but they still get their food. They still get their shelter. They still get their safety. They still get everything because they trust the process. The oceans are very deep. They're dark. They're very, very... You have to trust God. You have to trust the universe to get through this transit. This is about trusting the universe and letting God show you that it's real. That through patience, perseverance, time, through strength, through severing things, through cutting off things, through rebuilding things, you're going to make it. Exactly. Keep swimming, honey. Watch freaking Finding Nemo during this transit. Maybe I should get a movie list and a music list or something that you can listen to during the transit. But this is about being transient. It's about being transcendent. It's about understanding that there's a larger picture to this, okay? And you don't need a plan. If you don't have a plan, don't have a plan, okay? And maybe your chart says that you shouldn't have a plan. You should go with the flow. Saturn and Pisces, maybe you're the type of person with a trine here, with a sextile here, and you have to show people, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you believe. This is how God does it. Look, miracles can happen because Saturn is in Pisces and people are like, no, there's no miracles. But let me tell you, miracles are going to be real. People with special gifts are going to be real. People that are viewed as maybe with ADHD or autism or some type of learning, quote unquote, disability because they're not Virgo like everybody else. They're not showing up like, they're not being like the next person and the next person. They're not following the rules. They're doing what they want. They're learning how they want. But they're going to be the gifted ones. They're going to be the celebrated ones. So this is going to be I feel like there's going to be new technologies when it comes to disability and disabled people. There's going to be a lot around that. There's going to be art around that. Making that more beautiful and glamorizing that a little bit more, making hardships a little bit prettier. When you have Saturn and Pisces, it's like glamorizing the old. This is why I was talking about antiquing, thrifting, things of that nature. More people are going to be thrifting, thinking about the ocean, wanting to reuse things, learning about what we do bad to the planet. You know what I'm saying, and how it does impact us. And because Pisces is wholeness, it's oneness, and Saturn is like how hurt people, and hurt animals, and things of that nature. So when you have all this energy, right, Pisces can deal with a disability, especially if you have Aquarius and Pisces energy. It can just deal with a disformed figure of some sort, right? But with Saturn is there's going to be a seriousness around it. There's going to be more businesses being more mindful and helpful for people who might be blind, who might be, vertically challenged, or whatever the case may be. They can't stand, or they can't walk, or they can't speak. People are going to be more serious about this, more mindful. Subtitles, and I need to do that myself. I need to put subtitles on this shit. That's why I'm wondering if you're live. Now, what's the difference between, somebody tell me in the thing below, what's the difference between subtitles and closed caption? What's the difference? Because if I put subtitles, if it's in English and people are on my page and they don't speak American, then what happens? So somebody please tell me in the comments below. But just being more poignant of that, being more aware of the homelessness rates and what that looks like, because I can absolutely see more job losses happening, more people abandoning their jobs, abandoning long-term plans, okay? Or people getting fired or let go because of negligence, because of scandal. I didn't even talk about that with Pisces, but Pisces is that type of energy, all right? What else? You can really see this play out in a bunch of different ways. Okay, you can definitely see that with Saturn and Pisces. It's like the lost and the forgotten are now taken more seriously. They can change it themselves, I believe, and it should be able to translate in the language based off of where they're close at. Okay, so that's the thing with this, Saturn in Pisces. We're dealing with people with people who have addiction issues, substance issues, people who've been abused, neglected, abandoned. There could be an uptick in abandoned children, because remember, Pluto is going in Aquarius. Aquarius is opposite of Leo, and there could be a precursor and a preview of that. All right. Somehow, some type of way, because of that Pisces energy. And Saturn is also elders and forgotten elders, things of that nature, and how we treat the elderly community, how we treat people with time, with longevity, with maturity, with who have built things from the ground up, how we treat people who have sacrificed, Pisces, for us. You know what I mean? And how we treat those people. Those questions are going to come up. How we're enslaved to the dream. In America, it would be the American dream. How we're enslaved to the long-term plan, and how that's messing up our mental health, and how business and spirituality are separated. And there's just going to be all these different type of discussions, right? Because Pisces puts everything in the pot. Everything. Because Pisces is all signs. So I hope this helped. All I did was astrology today. It feels good. Feels good to just do astrology today. I did it for a really long time. I haven't been on here a long time, so here you guys go. Closed captions are for those who want more context and comparisons to subtitles. Oh, with the sound and they pour water and there's music in the back. Ah, girl, thank you. I just learned something new. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Happy birthday. Happy solar return. Okay. Yes, I'm going to definitely post this and put it after. Thank you for anybody who was the timestamps at the bottom. Join me on my Patreon. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it on Twitter. And let's see what happens for the next 2.5 years. In 2023, March 7th, 2023 to 2026 is when this transit is happening. It natally trines water signs, so Cancers and Scorpios and Pisces placements, depending on what it is for Pisces, because it is conjuncting. But it's going to be good overall. It's going to help, okay? For earth signs, it's going to be extremely lucrative financially, so y'all better be about that money. Whether you're a copywriter, an editor, you're a person who works with money, you're a chef, you're a cook, like it's your time, because you have earth signs and they'll be sextiling. And then if you have an opposition, so Virgo specifically, it's really, the less critical you are, the more you go with the flow, the better your life will be. You have to find a balance between being right and wanting to be inspired. So that's the difference that you're going to have to learn. For my air signs, for my other mutables, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini is going to be more difficult for y'all, because y'all are, yeah, it will be more difficult, but not for long, because you're mutable signs. Mutables, you guys usually go with the flow. So I don't really think it's going to be that much of a difficult transit for you guys. I think it's going to be more of an exciting transit, adventurous transit. I think it's going to be more, what the fuck? Whoa, my life is interesting as fuck. Like, at least I can say my life isn't boring type of transit. Yo, I can't wait to tell nobody about this shit. What the hell just happened? It's something that you can laugh off, essentially. Because Sagittarius is always going to find the wisdom in it. It's always going to find the reasoning. It's always going to find the big joke, God's joke in it all. It's always going to be like, God, you funny for that when I was funny. That's Sagittarius, whereas Gemini is like, the hell? Did you just see that shit? Like, what the fuck what is happening right now? Ugh, whatever. Anyway, let's go. I'm on to the next thing, because I'm bored over this. That's literally what happens, whereas Virgo is like overthinking it and thinking it again, over again. But it's up to you to decide that there's some things that are meant to inspire you, and they're not going to grow today. You know what I'm saying? And fire signs, don't react. Don't react before you assume things. It's going to be helpful for Aries. It's going to be helpful for Aquarius, because these are sextiles, okay, semi-sextiles, meaning there's a lot of great opportunity there for that, to either, Aquarius stuff or Aries stuff. However, when it's more Leo and Scorpio, no, Leo, Taurus, Libra, is gonna be more like, you're gonna fight it more. You know what I'm saying? Not Taurus, excuse me, but it's more Aries. I'm more fearful for Aries now that I think about it. Just don't pop off on anybody, y'all. Don't react first. Respond. Learn to respond, not react. That's the key word for Aries. That's what you have to learn. Don't just jump out of the seat, right? If you're a person that jumps out the seat. So, and some of y'all might be smacked with some reality. You know what I'm saying? A reality check where you need to react fast. What's even crazier is my dad, who's literally a Capricorn, just gave me a speech about getting serious and planning out my life. Like, listen. She gave me great advice on my Scorpio moon in the previous video this summer. I did. Appreciate it. I meant to listen to more of the second house and listen to the third house. That's okay. Put them together, because you're going to go through both transits, so it really doesn't matter. But yeah, and then it creates quincunxes anything from 45 degrees away. So 45 degrees away from that, it creates like a frustration, a friction, an itch that you can't scratch. And a 72 degrees away is going to create an artistic opportunity. You're going to discover something you never discovered about yourself, because Pisces is ancestral gifts, things that are passed down in our family spiritual bloodline that we can't explain. Oh, I didn't know I could sing. I didn't know I was good at numbers. I didn't know I could dance. I didn't know I was good at sports. I didn't know I was good at building things. I didn't know I was good at driving. I didn't know. And that's where that comes from. It's like a blessing. So Saturn in Pisces will go down before it goes up. But because we have astrology, we're already prepared. Yes, shit can get fucked up sometimes, but it's all about how we choose to respond. You go off of You go off of whichever of the personal planets is closest. Okay? Is your moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, or Sun closest aspect at all? During it, you're going to have several aspects several times. So that's why it's hard. That's why people's lives are eventful. I would focus on everything, to be honest. I would focus on my rising. Are you an earth or water rising? You should be fine. Okay? If you are an air or fire rising, this is depending on how you react. This is the very simple terms. Same thing with Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, or Mercury. You can put it in there. Why? Because Saturn is in Pisces. Any water sign is going to accept it. They're going to most likely accept it. And Saturn and Pisces is going to go through it, but it's almost like Pisces are an example of how to handle hardships, how to allow compassion and forgiveness to lead, how to have unconditional love for self and thus there for others. Pisces are going to be the physical example of what it's going to be. My Patreon link should be in the comments below, I think, in the little thing below, but they're going to be an example of what it goes through. You know what I'm saying? And it's through them that we're going to learn. But they're going to accept it. They're going to come out stronger at the end. Okay? So, I'll see you guys later. Ooh, my forearms hurt. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.